Chapter 851, All That Tangning Had to Show. Did you guys hear that Zihanmo has cancelled all the roles she previously accepted and other jobs she signed? Tangning has already helped her pay all the compensation. If she's not acting nor filming any commercials, what is she planning to do? Who knows what Tangning's thinking? The most talked about topic in the industry was how Tangning was planning to clean up Zihanmo's image. However, Tangning did not produce any practical results. Instead, she cancelled all of Zihanmo's activities, almost like she was planning to throw her into hiding. According to talks within the industry, even if Zihanmo shed a layer of skin, she would not be able to change the image she had in people's eyes. So, no matter what Tangning planned to do, it was of no use. After all, how could Zihanmo be possibly cleaned? But, so many eyes were on Tangning and superstar media. Was this really all that Tangning had to show? Help her dye her hair back to black and remove all the accessories on her body. The stylist looked at Zihanmo through the mirror, not quite understanding what Tangning had in mind. She looks too much like a celebrity. Her image needs to be simplified, Tangning explained. After hearing Tangning's explanation, the stylist slightly understood how Tangning wanted to change Zihanmo. But, the most important thing about changing a person was not their appearance. The most important thing was their character. From now on, you are a travel blogger. You no longer require thick makeup. When you have some free time, go study some photography. From this moment onwards, the entertainment industry has nothing to do with you, Tangning said. As for the black marks against your name, you don't need to clean them up. They have now become a part of your story. The stylist was just an average person, so she couldn't help but listen nosily to Tangning and Zihanmo's conversation. Just like everyone else, she was curious how Tangning planned to clean up Zihanmo's image. But, at this moment, she was shocked. Tangning had rerouted Zihanmo's life and all she had to do now was focus on traveling. This was quite a beneficial solution. A few days later, Tangning gave Zihanmo a ticket to Turkey. However, before she left, Zihanmo had one request. She wanted to hear Xinglan sing. In other words, she wanted to attend the 64-32 elimination round. However, Tangning did not agree to this. After you make a comeback, you can make whatever request you want. But for now, you have no right. As a result, Zihanmo left for Turkey. Someone spotted Tangning escorting Zihanmo to the airport. But, Zihanmo didn't mention a thing nor give any notification to the public beforehand. She was probably the worst example of an artist that had been ruined by her own agency. Yet, she didn't chase them for responsibility and left without a word. Why wasn't Tangning handling the matter like a normal person would? Everyone was waiting for her to present a flawless PR plan. But instead, she directly sent Zihanmo away and made her disappear from the entertainment industry. Longji watched as Zihanmo left and couldn't help but feel her heart ache. Do you really think that you can change her fate by doing this? No, I don't. But, I do know that when she returns to the public eye, she will be a completely different person, Tangning replied confidently. Why did she ask Zihanmo to leave like this? It was so Zihanmo could retain some of the public's sympathy. Zihanmo, we will wait for your return. Meanwhile, Xinglan's competition became even more intense. Soon, she would be competing for the top 32. During this time, Tangning arranged for Xinglan and Luo Xing to meet. After all, they were both a part of superstar media. Since their experiences were similar, they understood each other and naturally praised each other at different events. But, it was important for them to remember that they were a team and that their victories and failures were shared. As the competition grew in popularity, Xinglan's fame went up another level. Most importantly, she was now known as a Tangning's artist. Being known as a Tangning's artist meant that everyone was under the impression that she'd definitely make a comeback. Because of this impression, plenty of people came looking for Tangning in hopes of a second chance. Later that night, inside the warmly lit Hyatt Regency, Tangning set out an entire table of food after an afternoon of preparation. She was hoping that Moting could immediately enjoy a hot meal as soon as he got home. Meanwhile, the two mobile rascals were running around the living room while Zai Yuling watched over them. Soon, Moting returned home exhausted. The older brother, Mo Zigan, immediately pounced into his father's arms, while Mo Zixi sat on the floor and watched his brother act like a spoiled child. Seeing this, Zai Yuling couldn't help but comment, "Don't favor one over the other." "I know, Mom," Mo Ting said as he put down Zikan and walked over to Zixi. Just as he was about to carry his other son, Mo Zixi pushed his hand away like he was disappointed that his father needed a reminder. "This little rascal. He already has a temper at such a young age." Zai Yuling shook her head and laughed at Mo Ting. "I'm going to return home. I'll leave the kids to you." "Thanks, Mom," Mo Ting nodded. After Zai Yuling was gone, he knelt down in front of Mo Zixi and analyzed the kid. What could he say? This kid was acting much too mature for his age. At such a young age, did he already understand what the adults around him were thinking? That couldn't be possible. "Zixi, Papa carried Zikan a moment ago because he was afraid that he'd fall, not because of favoritism." Mo Zixi glanced at Mo Ting. After examining him for a few seconds, he suddenly wrapped his arms around Mo Ting's leg and rubbed his face against it. Mo Ting was dumbfounded. This rascal was definitely growing up to be a troublemaker. "What's wrong?" Tang Ning asked as she stepped out of the kitchen and saw the scene in the living room. Mo Ting immediately carried Zixi in his arms and replied, "It's nothing." "Since nothing's wrong, then come in and have dinner," Tang Ning said as she lifted Zikan in her arms. The couple then headed into the dining room with one child each. "Are the higher-ups at Hyrule still pressuring you?" Tang Ning asked during dinner. "After all, I haven't reached the level that they expected. At the rate that Xinglan and Luoxing are going, they will definitely sign with Hyrule soon." "Zai Hanmo is the only concern," Mo Ting replied. "But, you simply need to be aware of it. You shouldn't let it worry you." "They couldn't possibly be assuming that sending Zai Hanmo overseas is her ending, right?" Tang Ning laughed. "This is just the start. In fact, I'm confident that a miracle will happen very soon." "It hasn't even been a year yet." "No one cares about the process, they just want to see the results," Mo Ting replied with deep meaning. All they saw was Zai Hanmo leaving the country pitifully. Chapter 852. Let Zai Hanmo go, let them think that way. Tang Ning laughed naturally with ease. "You told me that she needs to be more confident and smart." "President Mo, I sent Zai Hanmo overseas because you inspired me to." "Don't make me take responsibility on my own. This has nothing to do with me." "Don't drag me down with you," Mo Ting laughed charmingly. In the past, the public paid close attention to Zai Hanmo because they wanted to hear about her latest scandals. At that time, her manager was the one that released regular gossip about her, maintaining her famously bad reputation. Now that Zai Hanmo had signed on to superstar media, it was no longer that easy for the public to hear news about her. But of course, the public didn't care, because, no matter how Zai Hanmo planned to reappear in front of everyone, her black marks could never be fully removed. Although her manager was the one that caused these black marks, the scandals she was involved in weren't completely false. It was almost time for Xinglan to compete in the next stage of her competition. As the most promising new singer, Xinglan gradually began to display her various strengths after passing the top 100. Her momentum was unstoppable. Meanwhile, as Xinglan's boss, Tang Ning chose to personally attend every round that her artist participated in. However, before entering the venue each time, she was inevitably surrounded by reporters. But, apart from asking about Xinglan, the reporters were also curious about Zai Hanmo. "Tang Ning, can you tell us where Zai Hanmo has been sent to? Is she pursuing a career overseas?" "Tang Ning, did you think that you could clean Zai Hanmo's image by doing this? Will Zai Hanmo become one of superstar media's failures?" Tang Ning walked towards the television station as she briefly answered some of the questions. "Zai Hanmo will naturally find where she belongs. I don't think her image needs cleaning because I don't think she's done anything wrong. But, her disgusting private life has affected and influenced our society badly. And that's why she is no longer an actress. That is the price she's had to pay." "Are you still not satisfied?" Tang Ning asked straightforwardly. The reporter that Tang Ning was speaking to froze for a moment, suddenly dumbfounded by her question. Seeing that the other reporters had nothing else to say, Tang Ning sped up and entered the television station. "Are you crazy? Why did you only ask about Zai Hanmo? Isn't Tang Ning a more popular news topic? For example, shouldn't we have asked whether she's planning to make a comeback?" whether she'll be acting in any films and why she decided to establish Superstar Media. Aren't all these questions big topics of discussion? The reporter was criticized by his own peers. Indeed, Tang Ning had a lot of topics worth focusing on. Unfortunately, everyone was too short-sighted. This was how Tang Ning was wise. She always had news for the reporters to write about. In the 4-hour-long 64-32 elimination round, Xinglan once again took the lead. She completely displayed the skills of someone that had previously gone through a singing competition and used her strong mindset to stop her opponents from getting past the top 64. She was undoubtedly the favorite for winning the competition. Tang Ning was present on the scene to show her support, giving Xinglan full confidence by letting her know that Superstar Media was always there to back her up. After the competition, Tang Ning took Xinglan to celebrate while the other contestants watched in admiration. It was obvious that Xinglan was satisfied with her current state, because she had a clear path to stardom. At this time, however, someone offered Xinglan a large sum of money to withdraw from the competition, claiming that she was already a winner in everyone's hearts. But, Lin Qian replied on behalf of Xinglan that she wasn't in need of money. After hearing about this incident, Tang Ning did not give much of a reaction. She had already expected this much. However, she did tell Lin Qian to pay close attention to Xinglan's safety. After all, a singer had been poisoned in the past and lost their voice. So, it was important to be careful. As a result, Lin Qian focused on Xinglan's daily life even more meticulously. In half a month's time, Xinglan would compete for top 16. Until then, Lin Qian had to take good care of her. By this point in time, Zai Hanmo had already left Beijing for 7 to 8 days. However, people were still talking about her. Zai Hanmo wasn't completely without fans. They had simply been suppressed over the years. So, as time passed, these fans had become completely loyal to Zai Hanmo. They were displeased with Tang Ning's decision. Since Zai Hanmo had signed with Superstar Media, the agency had the responsibility to guide her onto the right path. But, what was the meaning of their secretive actions? Actually, it wasn't secretive at all, because at this time, Zai Hanmo's Turkey vacation was coming to an end. As soon as it was over, Zai Hanmo gave Tang Ning a phone call. After Tang Ning heard from Zai Hanmo, her lips curved upwards. In response, she instructed, "Post it online." The next morning, a social media post titled, "I'm fine" jumped up to the top of search rankings. And, as soon as someone clicked into the post, the first thing they saw was a photo of Turkey photographed by Zai Hanmo. The post consisted of roughly 2,000 words and scattered between the paragraphs were 5 to 6 photos. In 2 of the photos, Zai Hanmo had her back to the camera. She was wearing a long white dress, with a straw hat and sandals as she walked along the charming streets of Turkey. She looked relaxed and pure. It was the kind of relaxed vibe of someone that had taken a large load off their shoulder. From the looks of it, Zai Hanmo was completely free from her past. As a result, these 2 photos gave Zai Hanmo a healthy and wise image. "I can no longer change my past, no matter if it was true or false. Perhaps, being a celebrity is really not suited to me. That's why I've decided to be a traveler instead." As I was documenting my top tips for Turkey, I discovered a really good skincare product. Would anyone like me to recommend it? Zai Hanmo's last sentence ended with a smiling emoticon, making her appear carefree and playful. On top of that, she recommended a skincare product that was indeed good to use. Everyone that saw the search rankings were curious how this particular post managed to become so popular. So, as soon as they saw that it was written by Zai Hanmo, they smirked and assumed another piece of gossip had been released. However, after they read through the post, they were silent. It was the first time that they did not have the urge to slander Zai Hanmo. She had already given up her identity as an actress. How could anyone still have the heart to say bad things about her? Moreover, Zai Hanmo did not give up nor complain after being slandered for so long. Instead, she chose to live her life happily. Who would be so bored as to insult and hate the current Zai Hanmo? If someone else was in her position and they were being hated for no reason, they would have already broken down by now. So, the comments below Zai Hanmo's post went like this: Oh, I'm currently using the product that she recommended. What a shock. I can't believe that someone I've hated for so long has the same taste as me. I've decided to no longer be an anti-fan. I can't seem to dislike her. Why? Just an anti-fan passing by. But, for some reason, I suddenly find her quite cute. Is there something wrong with my eyes? Her writing is well written and her grammar is good. It's obvious that Tangning paved this path for her, but I can't help being convinced it. I give up. It's time to let Zai Hanmo go. Chapter 853, Save My Manager. No one imagined that Zai Hanmo's image would be cleaned up in this way, and no one expected Tangning to do it with this method. Everyone was sure that Zai Hanmo was beyond saving. After all, she was covered in black marks. But, she ended up withdrawing from appearing on screen and never denied anything. In fact, she did not cause any arguments nor trouble. Many people imagined that they'd ridicule Zai Hanmo no matter how she decided to return to the industry, but now that they saw her again, they chose to be silent. Only someone with a completely dark heart would drag down someone that was trying so hard to live her life. If someone insisted on doing that, people would think that there was something seriously wrong with their morals. Afterwards, someone discovered the situation with Zai Hanmo's brother and the reason why she worked so hard. As a result, plenty of people finally understood Zai Hanmo, because she was displaying more and more of her real self. Long Ji and Lim Ki-on were pleased to see the response from the public, so they quickly called Tangning to share the good news. You did it. Not yet, Tangning replied. They had simply changed the minds of a few people. It wasn't a success yet. Either way, Zai Hanmo was in no rush. A week later, Zai Hanmo released another social media post. This time, she left Turkey and headed to a small island in South Africa. On top of that, she experienced something spooky on the island. However, her photos were a little blurry, so she blamed herself for not practicing her photography like Tangning had told her to. The current Zai Hanmo no longer tried to please the public. She simply lived her own life. But, it was exactly this change in her approach that truly convinced the public. This was human psychology. Once a person stopped acting the way that one expected, they will naturally become interested in their change. Because everyone dreamed of change, they admired change. Yet plenty of people found it impossible to change. This was what Tangning referred to as a person's standpoint. Later on, Zai Hanmo happened to come across an opportunity to recommend a camera to her fans. As a result, a few official camera brand accounts left some cheeky comments below her post. This interaction made the public smile and resulted in an increase in sales for a short period of time. This was Zai Hanmo's current value. Actually, those within the industry could clearly see the signs that Zai Hanmo was gradually changing career paths and that it was all carefully planned by Tangning. But, it couldn't be denied that Tangning effectively freed Zai Hanmo from her famously bad reputation. All within the short span of 1 month. Following on, her posts could attract the attention of travel magazines and her photos could be submitted to exhibitions. Compared to Xinglan and Luo Sheng, her future was equally bright. This was Tangning's third artist, but it was enough to prove her PR capabilities. However, Superstar Media still had a huge responsibility to uphold and Tangning's ambition had just begun. But, no matter what dramas Tangning was involved in the outside world, she would always return home as a gentlewoman and patient mother. Her love for Moting did not change the slightest bit. In a few days, Hairui will be hosting a celebration banquet. I've organized for you to attend, Moting said as he hugged Tangning in the bathtub. Okay, Tangning replied swiftly. She needed to reassure the higher-ups at Hairui that she was still an artist of Hairui's even though she was now running Superstar Media. This celebration banquet was to be held for Hairui's newly formed music group. Of course, plenty of Hairui's seniors and business partners would be attending. On that day, Tangning looked elegant and glamorous in her long silver dress, with a non-arrogant vibe. Meanwhile, Moting was naturally the king on his home turf. Every arm and leg he moved, displayed his commanding status, making those around him feel both reverence and fear. A little while after the banquet started, Moting went to the bathroom. During this time, the boss of another company approached Tangning with a glass of champagne. President Tang, how are you? The woman was a powerful 40-something-year-old, but Tang Ning had no impression of ever coming in contact with her. My artist is also a contestant in the Journey singing competition, the woman explained after noticing the confused look on Tang Ning's face. Tang Ning nodded her head in understanding. I wonder what President Tang thinks about winning the competition? I think it's dependent on a person's abilities, Tang Ning replied. She had already seen through this woman's intent. It seemed she wanted to negotiate in exchange for winning the competition. Xinglan's future is filled with endless possibilities. Winning the competition won't make much difference for her, but I can offer her some great conditions in exchange. I want to give my daughter a present. She also made it to the top 32. I wonder if President Tang is willing to do me this favor? I don't think your dear daughter would want to know that her victory was a result of her mother's bribery. So, I'm sorry, but I don't intend to get involved with the outcome of the competition, Tang Ning replied. Seeing that Tang Ning was ignoring her offer, the woman's expression turned cold as she left. A moment later, Mo Ting returned to the banquet hall. Seeing the coldness in his wife's eyes, he asked, "What's wrong? Did someone try to? Do you think this is still a few years ago?" Tang Ning comforted. Who would dare bully me these days? Then, someone was trying to make Xinglan withdraw from the competition. I'll ask Lu Che to organize enough men to watch over Xinglan's safety, Mo Ting replied. This was the true example of a couple. One sentence and they were on the same page. At this moment, Xinglan was still in one of the practice rooms at Superstar Media. Meanwhile, Lin Qian upheld her responsibility and kept her company outside. The two women ended up leaving around 10 p.m., but, as soon as they stepped into the underground parking lot, Lin Qian sensed something wasn't right. A group of men appeared from all sides and quickly surrounded them. Get into the car first. If something doesn't seem right, immediately rush out to call the police, Lin Qian said to Xinglan. But, what about you? Xinglan cried. Let's rush out together. Damn it, there's no signal here. How many times have you seen scenes like this in a movie? Haven't you learned anything? Lin Qian laughed. After speaking, she immediately pushed Xinglan into the car and yelled, "Go!" Xinglan did not hesitate as she immediately threw the car into reverse. As a result, the men split into two groups and chased after the two women separately. In a panic, Xinglan ended up circling the parking lot randomly. It wasn't easy, but Xinglan finally found the exit. However, the men quickly caught up. So, Xinglan gave all she had and sped out of the parking lot. She then drove to the direction where she saw the most people, stopped the car and jumped out, calling for help. Save my manager, please. Xinglan had a bit of fame, so people quickly gathered around to watch. Not long after, the police responsible for the area were immediately dispatched. The entire process took 5 to 6 minutes, but by the time they rushed back to the parking lot, Lin Qian was already lying in a pool of blood. If one was to say that Zai Hanmo attracted scandals, then Lin Qian definitely attracted injuries. Chapter 854, definitely appearing on the headlines tomorrow. A singing competition contestant had been publicly attacked. If this news got revealed, it would cause another huge commotion. However, Xinglan couldn't possibly focus on anything else at this time other than Lin Qian's condition. Earlier on, she shouldn't have left Lin Qian on her own. Although it may have led to both of them getting hurt or worse, it was better than the feelings of guilt she was experiencing right now. Soon, the doctor stepped out of the emergency room and said to Xinglan, who was sitting in the corridor, think of a way to contact her relatives. She's lost too much blood and requires a blood transfusion. The blood we had in storage was recently transferred to another hospital. Will mine work? Can you use mine? What blood type are you? A. Then stop talking nonsense. Give her family a call. Your blood does not match. After speaking, the doctor once again returned to the emergency room. Xinglan held onto Lin Qian's phone and could only think of one person, Quan Zai. So, without hesitation, she gave him a call. 10 minutes later, Quan Zai arrived at the hospital in a panic, barefooted with his pajamas still on. As soon as the doctor stepped out again, he immediately yelled, "My blood type is O." What's your relationship with the patient? The doctor immediately asked. I am her brother, Quan Zai replied. We have already taken blood from another hospital. You can come in first. Although O-type blood was known as the universal blood type, it couldn't be recklessly transfused to someone of a different blood type. After all, The blood plasma may contain antigens, but a small amount was feasible. Xinglan watched as Quanzai entered the emergency room. A little while later, he came back out holding his arm. Xinglan immediately walked over to him and discovered her voice sounded a little weak. "Mr. Quan, what exactly happened?" Quanzai asked angrily. This was the first time that Quanzai put aside his charming attitude and spoke in a serious tone. "We were attacked," Xinglan explained briefly. "Lin Qian got hurt because she was trying to protect me." After hearing Xinglan's response, Quanzai handed his phone to her. "Give me your phone number." "Okay." Xinglan took the phone and discovered that her hands were still trembling. Obviously, she was still scared. After she saved her number on Quanzai's phone, she handed it back to him politely. "Don't tell Lin Qian that I was here. I will look into this matter. Also, Qianer has no relatives. Let Tangning know that if Qian gets hurt again, I will hold her liable." Xinglan could tell that Quanzai was distressed. He was so distressed that he referred to Lin Qian by 3 different names in one go. But, according to Lin Qian's stubbornness, she would definitely refuse any involvement with Quanzai. That's why Quanzai decided to keep her in the dark. "I understand, Mr. Quan." Afterwards, Xinglan contacted Tangning. Tangning was already on her way to the hospital when she received Xinglan's phone call. Even though Xinglan was so focused on saving Lin Qian and had not contacted Tangning first thing, the news was already talking about the incident. After all, it happened in a busy part of town. So, it didn't take long before Tangning and Moting arrived at the hospital. "Ningji, how's Lin Qian?" Tangning quickly asked. "Are you hurt as well?" "I'm fine. Lin Qian's just come out of emergency," Xinglan replied before tears started rolling down her cheeks. "I've never experienced something like this. I don't know why it happened." "It's okay, it's not your fault," Tangning comforted as she hugged Xinglan. "It's all in the past. You're safe now and Lin Qian is going to be fine." With Tangning's reassurance, Xinglan calmed down. Of course, thanks to Luce's arrangements, there were no reporters at the hospital. On top of that, without waiting for Mo Ting's instructions, he had already called the police after he checked that Lin Qian was settled in. There were many underhanded incidents in the industry, but no one dared to provoke Hyrule. So this time, they had gone too far. Tangning could roughly guess what had happened. Someone was trying to force Xinglan to withdraw from the competition, and the woman that wanted her daughter to win first place was the #1 suspect. Soon, Lin Qian regained her consciousness. As she opened her eyes and saw the people beside her bed, the first thing she asked was, "Did Quanzai drop by?" "While I was slightly unconscious, I thought I saw him." "Drink some water first." Xinglan did not reply as she poured some warm water between Lin Qian's cracked lips. "Your head was smashed open. It's sewn up now, isn't it?" Lin Qian asked playfully, trying to ease the tension in the atmosphere. "Stop joking around." Xinglan was originally overwhelmed by guilt, yet Lin Qian was trying to act tough. This made her blame herself even more. "I am now your savior." Lin Qian winked at both Xinglan and Tangning. "By the way, you haven't answered my question yet. Was Quanzai here?" "Are you hoping that he came or not?" Tangning asked as she walked closer. "Logically, I hope he didn't come. But, emotionally, he has been my only real family over the years." "He came, and after he gave you some blood, he left." "He sped here, so highway patrol was waiting for him downstairs. They chased him all the way here. He's definitely appearing on the headlines tomorrow," Xinglan revealed. After hearing this, Lin Qian slowly closed her eyes. It had been a long time since she experienced this kind of loving warmth. "I'm fine. I'm going to investigate this matter and give you an explanation," Tangning promised. "Ningji, I can roughly guess the cause. It was my fault for not being careful and staying at the office until so late." "That?" Xinglan hesitated, but ended up telling Tangning. "Quanzai said before he left that if you let Lin Qian get hurt again, he is going to hold you liable. You guys can go home." "I'm fine. There will definitely be big news tomorrow," Lin Qian said as she weakly waved her hand. "There are nurses here." Tangning glanced at Lin Qian. She could roughly guess what she was thinking, so she said to Xinglan, "Let's go home and get some rest." "I want to stay." "You don't need to stay. Someone will take care of her," Tangning hinted as she dragged Xinglan away. Meanwhile, Mo protected his wife the entire time as he secretly hid the anger in his eyes. If someone really dared to scheme against Tangning, Beijing was about to be flipped upside down. Shortly after, as Lin Qian lay in bed, she began to stretch her neck to peer outside the door. She could obviously sense that there was someone there. In the end, she said with a sigh, "Come in." Slowly, Quan Zai crossed his arms and appeared in the doorway as he shook his head. "I'll just stay here and watch over you." "Sleep." "Come in. Didn't you say that you don't want to see me?" Quan Zai asked. Qian, either let me take care of you or go find someone to take care of you. Don't let me see you all alone like this. For me, this is worse than death. After all, as your brother, I have taken care of you for so many years. You are well aware that it's because I don't know how to face you. I am also struggling, Lin Qian replied. I just want us both to live with a bit of dignity. Chapter 855, Tangning, you sure are arrogant. Quan Zai knew how stubborn Lin Qian was. As long as she decided something, it was impossible to change her mind. But, that night, while Lin Qian slept inside her hospital room and Quan Zai slept outside, Beijing was flipped upside down. Firstly, a video of Xinglan being attacked and calling for help was posted online. Following on, news about Quan Zai speeding and being caught by the police was released and circulated. However, everyone understood Quan Zai's actions. After all, Xinglan's manager was Lin Qian and Lin Qian was Quan Zai's sister. The incident wasn't hard to piece together. Xinglan and Lin Qian had been attacked. Xinglan escaped to call for help. Lin Qian was injured and, as a result, Quan Zai was caught for speeding. But, who was behind the attack? And what was their motive? These questions were cause for heated discussions. So, early the next morning, Superstar Media made an announcement that they'd be cooperating with the police to find the truth and vowed to give their artist an explanation. Superstar Media claimed that the entire incident was related to the Journey singing competition and revealed that Xinglan was fine, while her manager suffered a serious injury. In order to win the competition, someone actually tried to attack another contestant. This matter caused a huge impact on everyone and forced Tangning to respond strongly. Whether it's the people that executed the crime or the instigator, Superstar Media will not let any of them off. Actually, it wasn't difficult to investigate the incident in detail. Whenever something dirty happened in the industry, all one had to do was trace the clues and the truth would easily be uncovered. After Lin Qian was admitted to the hospital, Tangning sat quietly at Superstar Media and waited patiently for Xinglan to compete in the 32-16 elimination round. At the same time, the police began to investigate the incident. Tangning was going to see how the culprit planned to hold on. Tangning wanted to tell everyone in the industry that not only the artists in Hyrule were untouchable, her artists also could not be offended. Long Ji, contact Fang Yu and ask him to prepare a contract for Xinglan. Originally, Tangning wanted to wait until Xinglan won the competition before admitting her to Hyrule. But, she now felt the need to show everyone the relationship between Superstar Media and Hyrule. Are you planning to send her over there now? Long Ji asked with some concern. She was ready a long time ago, Tangning replied. A little while later, Tangning received an anonymous phone call. The person on the other side requested to see her, but she quickly rejected them. I have no reason to meet with violent people. You may want to see me, but I'm not going to put my safety at risk. It's best that you be honest with me. I hate people that have no sincerity. The other party snorted and chuckled. Tangning, you sure are arrogant. I have the right to be arrogant. At least I'm not so stupid as to try and kidnap a person, especially not in the downtown area of the city. Fine. Give me your conditions. It was just a small joke. There's no need to blow it up. Conditions? Tangning sneered. I can have whatever I want. Do you think I'd want something from you? It's simple. There's only one thing you can do, get your contestant to withdraw from the competition. Otherwise, when the police find the truth, you will end up withdrawing anyway and it won't look good. If you want to get revenge, then direct it towards me. My daughter does not know about this incident. You're right. I am indeed seeking revenge on you. And your weakness happens to be your daughter. I want you to understand that you need to face the consequences of your actions. If you dare to touch one of my people, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Tang Ning said powerfully. When I was an actress, I may have allowed you to bully me. But, now that I'm a manager, I will only admit defeat if you manage to knock me down. I beg of you, please. Those that grovel at one's feet after they fail, deserve the least amount of sympathy, Tang Ning said before she hung up the phone. If this woman was smart, she would find a feasible reason to withdraw her daughter from the competition. Otherwise, she would end up embarrassing herself in front of the entire nation. 2 days later, Tang Ning received news that someone had indeed withdrawn from the competition. The reason was that the contestant had a broken leg. Everyone actually knew the truth, but they also knew that this was a price they deserved to pay. However, Xinglan's revenge may have been sought. But Lin Qian's revenge had not started. Quan Zai instructed his family's people to hire a private investigator to look into the matter in detail. In the end, they located the small-time gangsters that attacked the two women that night. Disregarding everything else, these men had to be beaten until their heads were bleeding before they could satisfy his hatred. Quan Zai was never one to follow the rules. Tang Ning had to plan out every step in case someone held something against her, but he didn't have to. If someone dared to touch one of his people, he was going to make them pay for everything they had done. Both Tang Ning and Quan Zai were truly angered by this incident, and plenty of people in the industry had heard about it. But of course, Tang Ning did not reveal that Xinglan had already signed with Hairu. It wasn't the right time yet. Afterwards, Xinglan attended the recording for the competition's promo. When asked about how she had been attacked, Xinglan first thanked the person that helped her call the police on the night of the incident before she firmly expressed her thoughts. I will persist with this competition until the end. I want to tell everyone that no matter what happens, I will stick to my original intentions. Sinister people will never get very far. At this time, someone went to snoop on the contestant that withdrew from the competition and discovered that she had indeed been admitted to the hospital. It seemed, she had broken her right leg. But, another reporter photographed the contestant leaving her home and driving. So, the answer became apparent. The broken leg was just an excuse. As for how the address of this contestant was leaked, it would forever remain a mystery. Because of the incident, Lin Qian ended up staying at the hospital for 1 week. By the time she was discharged, the entire matter had already been settled and those involved were already punished. She ended up returning to her position because Xinglan was about to compete again. But, every now and then, Quan Zai's manager would deliver chicken soup or some nourishing herbs to her. After a while, Lin Qian started to get sick of it. Qian, you know how your brother's like. If you don't drink it all, I can't report back to him. You drink it then, Lin Qian replied. If you don't drink it, he may deliver himself to you tomorrow. Lin Qian couldn't handle the threat, so she immediately gulped down the chicken soup. Actually, the fact that Lin Qian accepted Quan Zai's care was a sign that their relationship was warming back up. At least, she no longer rejected his good intentions. That night, Xinglan insisted on escorting Lin Qian home. However, when they arrived, they found Quan Zai standing there, leaning against Lin Qian's door. Xinglan smiled and left, while Lin Qian asked, "A famous actor waits outside a manager's door. What will everyone think of this?" "Everyone else thinks that you are merely my sister," Quan Zai replied lazily with his arms crossed. Lin Qian couldn't be bothered dealing with him as she directly pushed open the door. However, Quan Zai held her back by grabbing hold of her right hand. The two looked into each other's eyes for a short second before Lin Qian sighed, "Come in."
Hit the like, thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for listening.